Hey guys, welcome back for another reaction. Today I'll be reacting to kids in Germany. Apparently, I've heard that kids in Germany are really independent. And then someone emailed me a video about German kids, and I saw this German kid, he's 3 year old, going to bakery alone. And I was really shocked. And I don't know how he do it, but I was really impressed. He is really smart and really cute. I was so shocked. So, are all German kids like that? But yeah, I actually reacted to that one, but apparently YouTube blocked it, so it was not posted. And I'm sorry if I haven't had comments or responded to the comments lately because I was sick and I was busy because I attended my sister's wedding. But yeah, I am back. Let's get into this.
Hi everyone, what is up? My name is Haley. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you did not know, now you do. Hey you guys, what's up? So yeah, in today's video, y'all, I'm going to be talking about German children. I've made a few videos talking about like parenting, parents, children, growing up in Germany and all that good stuff. I might link them down below if you want to check them out or somewhere here, click the eye. But in today's video, I'm going to be explicitly talking about children and growing up in Germany. I don't have any children, so this is just based on my personal experience of being around children in work settings. I worked as an au pair, as a nanny, as an aide in a kindergarten, full-time in a kindergarten, part-time in a kindergarten, and an English-speaking kindergarten, and a few other places surrounding children in Germany. So granted, I don't have any personal children experience of my own, but I do have a lot of experience with many different kids from many different upbringings in Germany, which I think I've made some very interesting observations. Y'all can let me know if you agree or not in the comment section. If you don't, but before I get started, I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, and it is LingoPie. They're very ever. LingoPie is thinking from many different languages. And once you are signed, what makes it suspicious on them? Click and save them on your and you have access to many varieties. Trying to learn a language, I focused, and usually animation. It's really affordable off. If you can find it if you search the site. Even if you don't want to sign up for their membership, I would recommend just going over their catalog. I've never seen it before that are actually pretty. So the first point, you guys, I've briefly talked about in some of my other videos. I'm just going to go into more detail about it here, and it's basically that German kids have more responsibility and independence, which varies depending on age. And there are some contradicting points as well, but basically I feel like in Germany, younger kids especially have more responsibility and independence. So one thing that really solidified my mind regarding this topic was when I got onto a bus or a tram early in the morning in the city center, and I just saw little children with their backpacks bigger than them getting onto the tram to go to school. And I was boggled. My mind was like, wow. Shook. I could not believe it. These tiny children were able, like, I couldn't even go down. I still can't navigate the freaking public transportation system, but the little 7 or 8-year-old was doing it with ease, walking down the elevator, running to catch their train, and I'm just like, how? And in the United States, we have children waiting at the end of their own road, and they still get lost. So I'm just like, how is this possible? But this is just something that, like, is one of those things. It shows that they are more responsible and also given more independence at a younger age. But one thing I've noticed is that a lot of parents, especially since I'm in the nanny and au pair groups and English speaking jobs and kid jobs in Munich, Germany, I see a lot of ads for people looking for someone to come after school and watch their kids for a few hours until they get home from work because they don't want to leave their kids alone. And I always find that to be very funny because I knew people personally that would let their kids travel 1 hour to get to school, but they wouldn't let their kids stay at home for an hour after school by themselves. And I'm just like, yeah, but they literally just went to Siberia with a train by themselves for an hour. I'm pretty sure they can stay home for an hour by themselves. I don't know what the law is. I know it's like a gray area for some But also going into that point is that when you look at daycares or after school programs in a lot of German cities, towns, wherever it may be, you will see kids given certain responsibilities like going to buy bread by themselves at the bakery. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
that we had older kids at one of the daycares that I worked at. I want to say they were like maybe 9 to 11. I don't recall. It's because one of their siblings went to the daycare and they were younger, and so they were able to just come and hang out as well until their parents got off of school. It was very tight knit and all that good stuff. And so those kids that
Very
were 9 to
interesting.
11 years old, we would say, hey, do you want to go walk down the street? I mean, it wasn't really far, but it was a walk to go to the bakery and buy bread
Yeah.
for roadside. And it would be 3 of the kids and they were able to go. That would never ever be allowed
Wow.
in the never be allowed in the United States. I also think
No.
because we don't have any walking or mini walking options, that is just not something you think about or that could
I
be
guess.
plausible or an option for us. And also, I'll go into this a little bit more in detail.
So yeah, it's really, really interesting. Like those kids are really brave, and it's so crazy to me that, as I mentioned earlier, I watched these videos that 3-year-old kid who went to the bakery alone and he just walked. He went to the bakery, picked up the cake, and went back home. And not even distracted. He was so smart and really, really cute. I was like, oh my gosh, how did they he do that? That's crazy. And then yeah, people were just looking at him but not really like trying to call the cops. So if you guys see that, like a little kid walking along the street, it's really fine. Like I'm not talking about like the 7 to 8 and above, because she mentioned that the kids were like go to the school at like that age. But how about when it's like 3 to 5? Do you guys go to that kid and then call the cops or bring it to the nearest station because it might be lost? I don't know. Please let me know in the comments.
At another point, you'll see certain kindergartens and after school programs having things like pets, which is something that was new to me as well. I knew
Pets?
a kindergarten that was very close to where I worked. They had a little, I think it was a hamster. I don't recall. And everybody was responsible, all the
A
kids were responsible to
hamster.
take care of this hamster and keep him alive. And I'm just like, thus, y'all
That's
have a living creature with
interesting.
these kids and they have to keep it alive? And the next point is going to be creativity, you guys.
That's so interesting. That kind of reminds me of these cartoons I watch. It's called Leo. I think it was like a lizard. And then the kids were like, they had to bring that pet to their house and make it, like, keep them alive. It's so interesting. Yeah, how can a kid keep those alive? I can't even take care of my pet. Like I had a fish and then his name was Pepper. He died. Actually, I had him for like 9 months. That's actually a long time for a fish, I think. It's a betta fish. But he died because he was overfed. I left him to my sister and then I think she overfed him. So I was really sad. He got bloated. That's when I was in Australia, and then when I got back, he was so chubby. Like his stomach was so big, and I tried to like take care of him, like give him some medicine, but it didn't work. But yeah, it's just interesting. Like sometimes I forget like to feed him. Not really forget, but I just don't have a specific time to feed him. But yeah, I miss
Pushing
him.
creativity. This one's probably going to be very long because I'm always excited about this one, and this one knocked me off my socks the first time that I witnessed these things. But it's going to be the first one with food. In Germany, a lot of times in
Food.
specific locations and specific aftercare child services, kids will make their own food, which you're thinking to yourself, yeah, we do that
Really?
too in the United States. I'm only talking from my personal experience of what I know. I never did something in the United States as a child so intensive, I think would be the word, regarding making my own food in a child care setting. At one of the daycares that I worked at, the kids would have to make their own food. I think it was like 1 to 2 times a week, and that just meant like they had to make their own
Wow.
pizza dough. They had to put the tomato sauce on the
Pizza.
pizza dough. Sometimes we would even make the pizza sauce ourselves, which meant getting the tomatoes because we had our own garden. And then we would have to put the toppings, put the cheese, and choose everything, put it
They
in the
do
oven,
that?
bake it,
That
watch
was
it,
so fun
and
for
then the kids would
kids.
eat their own creations. And for me, this was
Wow.
so mind-boggling. First and foremost, that we had a freaking garden at the kindergarten. That was
Oh
like the
yeah.
craziest thing, that we had our own food there that we would like pick and eat every day almost, but that kids at such a
That's
young age, at 2 years
nice.
old too, would be making their own food.
2
And
years
this really
old.
does push for creativity and open-mindedness. I know you guys are thinking it's just a pizza. It's not just a pizza to a kid. It's being able
Yeah.
to make
It's
your
not
own
just a
choices,
pizza.
which is a very big deal for little mini humans that are developing into full adult humans. I went to a daycare, I think, that
Yeah.
had a couple hundred kids in it. I've never seen something like that, let's say in Bayern, and I don't think there's anything like that in Germany. Maybe a few, but most of the daycares that kids go to, they're very intimate. They have like 10 to 30, sometimes a little bit more children, which is a lot easier to organize
That's a
personalized
lot.
pizzas than with 300 children. So I think it also depends, on the setting and if you have the luxury of intimacy in the sense of less children. Another part of creativity is
That's so crazy. I mean, kids are really, really smart and they are also adventurous. They like to do stuff by themselves, they're really creative. So, this is a really nice system that they do that there, that kids can be independent at that young age. They don't have to like depend everything to the parents. This is nice. I like this
that
way.
children are able to build their own stuff. I worked at a kindergarten that had a build-a playground, and basically the kids were able to build their own
Wow.
toys, their
Really?
own teepees, their own slides, their own
What
huts,
the heck?
everything that they wanted to play with, benches, all that good stuff. And I just found that to
That
be
sounds
so
so fun.
cool. When you take a step back as an adult and you watch this process of kids making decisions and how they want to do something and get from
Yeah,
point A to point B, it really boggles your mind because you would never think like that. And you're like, how in
I
the world did they
agree.
do that? Or how in the world did they get to that? And Legos are good, Build-A-Blocks are good, but a step further is allowing kids to make something that they actually play with in the sense that they are actually on. And I don't know, kids like that kind of stuff, and I think it just pushes creativity. The next point is going to be
That's just so, so crazy. And this really just amazed me. My gosh. I like it.
critical thinkers. And I feel like in the United States, something that I have observed is a lot of times, and I do this sometimes, I've done this in the past, and it's just because I was brought up like this. All of my surroundings were like this. My school was like this. Every school that I went to, it was like this. But instead of saying don't do something or no in Germany, German parents explain. They say, why not? Or why you can. And for me, it's very hard, like I
Oh,
said, because I was raised, listen to adults, don't talk back, don't
yes.
ask questions. And then you have a German kid like,
Mhm.
warum nicht? Wieso nicht? And I'm like, because I said so. And then they're looking at you wanting an actual explanation of why you said no. And I'm just like, do I really got to explain to you why I don't want you to do this? And then sometimes you have to check yourself and you're like, why am I actually saying no? And so a lot of times German parents, German children professionals, they will explain the reason why something is bad. It's not, hey, don't hit that kid, or hey, don't do that. It's hey, you see that you hurt this little girl. Do you really want to hurt her? That's not nice. Would you like someone to do that to you? Yes or no? And then having a long conversation. You have to apologize. You should say sorry. And I'm just sitting there looking like, good job, awesome. But then I'm thinking to myself, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. I do see this sometimes happening in the United States, don't get me wrong, but the majority of people that I've seen with children and also just growing up in the environments that I grew up, it was not something very common that a teacher, a parent, an adult of some sort, what are they called? Not a supervisor, like someone that is older than you, a superior, would say, don't do something, and then explain this long novel of why you can't do it. It would just be no, and that's it. So I think that when you tell kids,
that is so interesting. I guess that is really tiring because you have to do it the long way, but it's better that way. I like it that way. It would just kids would understand it more when you explain it, and kids are smart, so they will probably understand and would appreciate it. When I have a kid in the future, I think I want to do it this way. It's just nice. I don't want my kid to just have a phone and then just stop using phone because social media sucks. It's very draining and brain rotting.
and you explain to them in their terms what's easy for them to digest, it allows them to become critical thinkers of what's right and what's wrong. A lot of times, and I've said this many times before, German people can be very direct. Sometimes it annoys me too much, but they are very, very fair. And I think it has a lot to do with their upbringing. You know, their parents explaining to them something being right, something being wrong, and drilling it into your head why something is right, why something is wrong, and it makes people very fair and very honest when they're older. And that's also why I think a lot of people view people from the United States to be very dishonest. So the next point, you guys, is going to be gender equality, gender neutrality. I think that neutrality. Neutral. It's not that in English, is it? It's probably not. And this is an umbrella term. This is going to be talking about so many things. I'm going to try my best to explain it to the best of my abilities, but it's very hard. Something that shocked me the first time I worked in a German kindergarten was the fact that boys and girls shared restrooms. So growing up, I was never allowed to go into the boys' restroom when I was in school. Even in our, our classroom that we had for kindergarten, we had like one classroom of 30 kids, and there were two restrooms inside the classroom, one for boys and one for girls. And you weren't allowed to like mix. I mean, unless there was someone that really had to go to the restroom and one of the restrooms was besetzt, then you could go into the other one, but just going into the boys' restroom was so taboo. And also, you know, I realized this with my little brother. Sometimes when I'd go pick him up, granted he's older, so for him I'm not including it, but the younger kids that would be at his daycare, because they have like the younger kids and the older kids, and sometimes the younger kids would be sitting outside when I would pick him up, and they would be sitting at the restroom, and they would have separate restrooms, one for girls and one for boys, and they were not allowed to mix. They were not allowed to even, let's say that the girls come out, the boys go in. That wasn't allowed. That was the girls' restroom, only the girls. And if a boy went into the girls' bathroom, then they would freak out. And these kids were like 3, 4-ish years old. And so the first time that I came to Germany, the first kindergarten that I worked at, they had 2 bathrooms, and any kid could go into any bathroom, and the kids would come out. Sometimes, you know how kids are, they say and do the darndest things. They would come out with their pants down, certain things hanging out, and then there'd be a boy and a girl standing there just like, what should we do? And I'd be like, we're all sharing bathrooms, we're all just showing body parts here. And my bosses were just looking at me like, what the hell is this girl talking about? And then moving forward, you know, after this, I read one of those books that I told you about in a video a long time ago about, you know, giving birth and just the anatomy of the human body for women and men. So it showed everything. It showed penises, non-penises, hair everywhere, different, I don't know, just all types of body parts,
Really?
just everything that I was not prepared for at that time, you know, watching kids. And I remember closing the book, putting the book high up on the shelf that no kid could grab. I went and I was like scrambling. I'm like, you guys, there's nakedness in this book, and children are, oh my gosh, they're tainted brains. And seriously, my the
It's
bosses, the people,
allowed?
like my superiors at this job, they were probably thinking, what the hell's wrong with this girl? They basically said it was okay. And so after that, I started realizing, like, yeah, why does it matter? Little kids aren't thinking about these things. And also, a human
Yeah.
body and going to the bathroom are so normal. Guys and girls have to do it, especially at such a young age. It doesn't matter. And I don't know why it's such a big deal.
Yeah, I
So that's
guess.
something that was really one of the biggest differences for me. But yeah, at the time it shocked.
Yeah, that's true. Kids are innocent. They would not think about that kind of stuff. They would like see it and not think about anything. Yeah, why is it so different here? Why does he have to be so like that? I mean, it would give awareness to the kids, but kids are just innocent. I don't know.
Me now, I'm perfectly okay with it. It doesn't even bother me anymore, but it was still such an interesting, I guess, contrast when you compare it to the United States. I know people in the United States are going to say
Yeah.
that it's the same, totally the same, but I don't think so. You know, we have meetings in the United States, and a lot of states that try to ban bikinis in pool classes, or try to ban, I don't know, boys and girls being able to use the same restroom at school. And I don't think they're anywhere
Yeah.
near each other regarding comparability in these topics at all. But yeah, that was it, you guys.
Wow, that was a really, really good video, and I think I like the German parenting way. That was really, really cool, and it would just make the kids really brave and more independent when they grow up. That's nice. I really like it this way. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.